Right. Block. We have paragraph block. We have paragraph block. We have label block. Labels block. We have image container. We have image container. We have avatar container. I know this might not be making sense to you right now. You feel like, "Ah, what is this person doing? What is he doing like this? What's it doing?" We have link block. And we have supporting text. Input supporting text rather. Input supporting texts. So let's go ahead and create these atoms. Let's create these atoms. Let's create these atoms. And from these atoms, you now see how we will create molecules from these atoms. Let's go ahead and create these atoms. Let's go ahead. I think there's another one about that is chip. It's chip. Item. Yeah, item listing. Item listing. So I'm going to from this now. I'm going to create this atoms for you guys. So I know you guys will be looking at it. What is this person doing? What's this person doing? But from this, when we start making molecules from these atoms, it will start making more sense to you guys. So let's create the first one, which are buttons. I think we've created buttons before, so let's create them again. Let's create buttons again. So you click T. So most of these atoms, most of them I'm going to be using auto layout in most of these atoms. I'm going to be using auto layout. So let's say the font we're going to be using is Poppins. We're going to be using the Poppins font. And then, as I've said before, for button, it is ideal to use a range between 14 and 18 for your text. The text in your button, it is ideal to use a range between 14px and 18px. And then you can change the weight in a way that fits you. But most times you're going to be using medium and semi bold. Most times for your button, you're going to be using medium and semi bold. You understand? So you'll be using 16 here. Using 16 here. Poppins. Let's make our line height 24. So let's just say the text on our button is button. Let me zoom in so you guys can see. I say the text on our button is button. I have it to medium. Let me set mine to semi bold. So I think I've talked about auto layout. So to put this text in an auto layout, what am I going to do? Guys, what am I going to do? Guys, let's make this interactive as possible. Okay. I said to put this text now, we have this text. This is a text now. To put this text in an auto layout, what do I do? I think we've done the class on auto layouts. So what do I do to put this text in an auto layout? Okay, Caleb, I want another person to answer. You guys are not communicating. Why? Okay. So yes, you're going to click on Shift A, then you have an auto layout. So So let's put our auto layouts. Let's name this button. We put our text in an auto layout. So let's set the padding of our auto layout, the left and right padding to 32, which is also called the horizontal padding in Figma. So if you come here, this is the horizontal padding. Horizontal is from your left to your right, and then vertical is from the top to the bottom. That's also the way it is arranged in Figma. Because if I want to individually, like I want to change the individual padding of this button now, I can do 32, which is the left, and then do comma 8, which is the right. Let me see, I want to make it the left 32, I want to make the right 8. So I can just enter. You can see the right has been reduced and the left is still at 32. You can see now 32 comma 8. That's 32 for the left and 8 for the right. So let's do the same also for the height. This is just an experiment. Let's do the same for the height. So let's say we want to make the top 32 comma the bottom 8. You see now, you can see the top is 32 now, while the bottom is 8. Those are the same we have for left and right. So let's go back to our normal. So that's it. So now we are going to be using the 8-point grid system now. So it's ideal to make your padding, your spacing and padding multiples of 8. So here now I'm going to be using 32, 32. Then our top vertical padding, let me call it vertical padding, that's 16. So someone should suggest the color we should use. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Suggest the color, guys. Suggest the color. Caleb, the color. Okay, blue. Yeah, blue is one of the safest color to use in design. Blue. So I'll just have it here, blue. Blue. So let's give it a corner radius. So let's take corner radius of 4. Is this too small? Let's give it a corner radius of 8 to make it more beautiful. Let's give the corner radius of 8. So you can see what we have here now. We have our button, which is an atom. So now let me say I put a section here. So let's say I put this in a section and we call it section atoms. Let's say shift this. I call this section atoms. So all the atoms we created, we are going to be putting them here just to arrange it so you guys can. So let's name this atoms. So we've created buttons, right? So let's see what's the next thing we want to create here. Input fields. Input field. So let's create an input field now. Let's go ahead and create an input field. Let's go ahead and create an input field. So click T. So also for input field, it is ideal to use a range between 14 and 16. Not even easy advisable to use between 14 and 16, except in some smaller input fields. And these are in rare cases where you want to use smaller input fields, like very small input fields, then you can opt for 12 as your text, your font size. You can opt for 12 as your font size, but in most cases, you're going to be using a range between 14, not even a range, for either 14 or 16. Either 14 or 16. That's what you're going to be using most of the time. So now let's review 16 before. Let's use 14. Let's use 14 here. So let's see placeholder. Let's placeholder. So the text that is inside your button, the text that is inside your input field and that's inside your input field is called a placeholder. It's a placeholder text. It's holding that place till you input your own response into it. That's why it's called a placeholder text. So we are going to write placeholder here now and then put it in an auto layout and then we rename this to input fields. We rename this to input fields and then we have our left and right padding. Let's make that 32 also. Let's make that 32. Our top and bottom margin, let's make that 16 also. So you guys might be looking, okay, are we creating the button again? No, this is not a button. So in your auto layout now, in your alignment panel here in your auto layout, you align it to the left center. You align it horizontally to the left. You align it horizontally to the left, then vertically to the center. Align it horizontally to the left, then vertically to the center. Then you can stretch this a bit. Can stretch this a bit, stretch it a bit, stretch it a bit, and stretch it. So this is aligned to the left center now. So that's why it's not moving. But if you align it to the center, it will come to the center, but it's aligned to the left. So you have an input field here. So let's say the background of our input field is we have a white field on our input field. Let's give it a radius of 8 also. The radius of 8. Let's make our text a gray text. Let's get a gray text. So text in input field are mostly gray and they are in regular. They are mostly gray and they are in regular. So to show that they are inactive. So when they are active, the text changes to a very dark shade. So most times they're in very light shades. So if you see examples of placeholder where you have your login buttons and your login forms, you can see most of the placeholder they are in light text. So when you start inputting your response into this input field, they turn into dark colors. So since we don't have anything here, we are not inputting anything here. Let's have it in a very light gray, very light gray. So let's give it a stroke. Let's make the stroke also light gray. Let's make it also light gray stroke. So then we have our input field here. So for one thing in design, when you are creating your buttons now, your atoms, you are making them components also. So let's make as components, and from this component, we want to create different variants in case we want to use different types of button. So in sense that maybe you want to use a field button, or you want to use an outlined button, or you want to use a ghost button. So I'm going to show you what these are now. So here we have it here now. So once you make this a component, you come here, your top bar here on your Figma canvas, your top bar where you have this diagonal shape and the plus in it, add variants. Then you click on add variants to add another variant of the original. So then, you can now make this variant change to the way you like it. So let's say we want this in outlined form. Let's say you can just copy the color and then make it a stroke here. Outline button, and then we'll take out the fill. Then we'll change the color of this. We'll change it to blue also, the blue way. So this is an outline button. And then if you want a ghost button, you can just click on the whole component again and then add variants. Then you can change it to a ghost button. So this is an outline button. This is what we call an outline button. Then this is a ghost button. You can have this like this. So now this. So you are not having any fill on it. In a ghost button, you're not having fill. So you only change the color. Only change the color of the text. So we change the color of the text. You're not having any fill. Really change the color of the text. Really change. So this is a ghost button now. This is the ghost button. See, it has the same physical properties as this. It's just the color property has changed. You see. Now this is not having a fill property again. It's having a stroke property, and this has a fill property. So based on the form, these are the different type of variants of button you can have, and based on state now. Based on state. So this is based on form. So based on state, let me just duplicate this and detach the instance. So let's say we created another button here. So based on state of button, make this a component. Then you create a variant, add a variant. Let's say we want three variants. We want three states of our button. So we want three states of our button. Then we want to make this based on states. So we have states, we have default states, we have default states or inactive, we have default states or inactive states, we have over states. We have over states. Then we have pressed states, and then sorry, we should have one more for inactive states. So this is default states, this over state, this pressed state, and this is inactive state. But these buttons are looking the same thing. They are not even they are the same. So what is used to make the difference now in these states, in their state is their color. So when you over on a button, to show that the button is in over state, you can either make the fill more lighter, or you make it more darker. You can see what I'm doing. You can either make it more lighter or you make it so in our case, let's make it more lighter. Let's make it more lighter. Let's say this is the over state. So also the same thing for the pressed state. You can either make it lighter or darker. So let's say we are making this darker. But one thing is the colors of the buttons must not be the same. The shades of blue of the buttons must not be the same. So we'll make this darker. So inactive state, let's say we have inactive state. So inactive state now is the state at which the button is not active, just like how you have in forms that you fill on applications, whereby when you start filling the form, once you're not done with the form, the button color won't change. The button color will have like a gray color, or will have a color with less opacity. Like for example, let's say something like this. This is so the button could have something like this, but in most times they will have gray. In most times, these buttons will have gray colors. So you can just come here like this, a very dark blue gray like this. So you can call this an inactive state that the button is in. So when you feel complete filling your form, then this button cannot change to this default stage. If you over change to this over state, then press change to this pressed state. So this is based on forms, based on physical form, based on forms, and this is based on states. This variant of your button is based on forms. This variant of your button based on what? Based on states. So this variant of your button based on forms, and this is the variant of your button based on states. So we also have the same for input fields also. We also have the same for input fields also. So so this is it now. This input field you have here now is the inactive. So let me change this to white so you can see what's going on in our background pretty much. So what's going on in our background pretty much. Let me change to a very grayish color. Okay, this is nice. You can see what's going on in our background. Expand it. Expand. Oh, sorry. Expand. Expand. Expand so you can look. So we also have the same thing for input fields. Input field also has different states. So when we make this a component, and then we add another variant to it. So this state where we have it right now here is the inactive state. So this is the state, as I've said, when you've not imputed anything. You've not imputed anything in the input field. You've not imputed any response in the input field. Then let's change it to active state. So let's say our primary color is this blue. So let's copy this blue. Let's copy this blue. Then you can use blue as your outline stroke to show that it is in active state. Instead of the gray stroke you now have your blue stroke. And then you make your text, your placeholder text. more dark. Let's see, we have one. Make it more dark. So this is showing an active state. This is showing an active state, and why this is an inactive state of your input field. You can see the difference now. You can see the difference. So then we have another state. We have the success state. Some forms use success state. Oh, sorry. You have the success state where you have the stroke. So this success state is indicating. Okay, I don't have train here. Let's just. So this success state is indicating that you have successfully imputed the right response. So let's have this. So we have success states like this. So this state is signifying that you've imputed the right response. And then we have error state. We have error state, which this can be read. We have error state, whereby it shows that, oh, you've imputed the wrong response. Just like, have you been in a situation whereby you had to input your date of birth, or you had to input your address, and then you went to input your phone number, and you just see the input box just change to red immediately, and triggers makes a vibrating movement, and like, no, this is, you've imputed the wrong something, like, okay, you can only input numbers in this. Have you ever been in a case like that? Anyone? Have you ever been in a situation like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So that is what we call the error states. So to show, okay, you've imputed the wrong response. So and then we have the success state, which shows that yes, you've imputed the right response. So and one thing now I want to show you now is I've created this variant now. I've created this variant now. So for example, let me say I want to use this button. Now I want to use this button. So let me bring it from my asset panel. But before that, let me show you something real quick. How to rename this each of these variant button, how to rename it, how to rename each of them. So once you click on this overall component now that contains this each variant, now this variant in there, once you click on the overall component in this properties panel here, this properties panel, you see where you have properties. Then you come here, where you have property here, you
Sorry,
double
sir.
click on it. Okay, what was it?
I don't understand how these variants are being created. Like, are they? Is it just like a duplicating? Is it like duplicating, or is a special way of creating them?
Okay, let me show you. Let me create another variant. So we have, okay, let me just bring this out and then, sorry, detach this and then, oh man. Let me detach this, let me detach the component. So let's say we created this input field now, and then we make it a component here. Make it a component. I think I've shown everyone how to make that a component. You make it a component. Now you want to have different variants of this. So you want to have different types of this input field, different variants. So you want to have different versions, let me say, of this input field. So in the top bar also, where you click on to create a component, you see the diagonal shape with the plus sign in it. Then you click on add variant. Once you click on add variant, it automatically creates another variant for you. It automatically creates another variant for you. Then you can now edit the features of this variant to suit what you want to use it for. Do you understand that, Abdullah, now?
Yes, yes, sir. I'm getting you. I'm coming. You said making something a component. How did you make it a component? Also, sorry, sorry.
Okay, I'm going to show you that once more again. I think you didn't get that. I'm going to show you one more last time. So we've created this input field now. This is not a component. We've created this input field. It's not a component now. So once you created this input field, in your top bar in your canvas here, you see where my icon my cursor is. So it is.
Yes, sir. Yes, I
So
can see it.
you create, yeah, you click on create components. So you've created a component like this now. you've created a component. So in that same place where you clicked on create component, you see a diagonal shape with a plus in it. There you click on
Yes,
add
sir.
variant. Click on add variant. So you've made another version, another variant of this input field now. So now you have two variants in this input field component. Are you listening to me?
Okay.
So this is the overall
Yes, sir.
component now. This one that has this stroke now is the overall component now. It has two variants in it now. Before it was just one component, which is this input field. But now when you create another variant, so you'll be having two variants in it, and this is the component here. This is the main component here now. You see what I'm trying to explain now. So
Yes,
then
sir.
for the
I get it,
second
sir. Thank you
variant,
very much,
you
sir.
cannot you cannot change the properties as you see fit. You cannot change the properties as you see fit. You can change them to your taste. So that is that. So sorry to draw you guys back again. And then so on the buttons now, let me show you how to quickly rename your variant so you can identify one from one. You can identify them because if you're having things like variant one, variant two, variant three, you might not quickly remember which one of those is your variant. So first of all, when you click on your overall component, you click on not on this variant now. I'm not saying you should click on this. So this dash line now around your component now. This dash line around your variant, that's the overall component. When you click on it now, in your properties panel, you see where you have properties here. You double click on where you have property one, you double click on it. So this input field opens. So this is another input field now. So you change it from property one, you take it out, and you change it to name. So you can okay, these are the names of what we have now. So then you click on each variant in this component now. So let's click on the field button. So you can see this is a field. You can from where you have defaults now, your current variant, where you have defaults, you can now see. Now I'm clicking on the variant, not the whole component. So you can now say, okay, you want to rename your default button to field button. So you have that. Then you click on the outline button where you have variant to. You say, okay, you want to rename it to outline button. Then where you have your ghost button, you click on it, you see variant 3. You can also okay, I want to change it to ghost button. So you see now. So now let's say for example, I want to use an outline button, but let's see our atomic design framework atoms. Let's say for example, I want to use so let me rename this to button states. So we don't have two buttons in our access panel. So this button states, this button, let me say this button forms, forms. Okay. So for example, now let's say okay, we want to use our button forms now, but I want to use an outline button, but it's a field button I brought out from my asset panel. Then how do I change this? So you come to this panel here, this is your design panel here. You see where you have your properties panel here. Under this button forms, this is the name of the component now. You see button forms. This is a variant of it. So you can now change the variant. You see where you have field button here, you see name. You see where you have field button here. You click on the drop down and then you can change it to outline button. So instead of going through the stress of creating another button again, you can see how you just easily use the components you've created before. So then you can change to ghost button if you like. You can see. Then you can change back to field button. You can change back to field button. You see? So that's that on the component. So let's move on. Let's move on real quick. Let's move on. Okay. So let's create another atom. Let's create the checkboxes. Let's create the checkboxes. Let's create the checkboxes. So most times checkboxes is not that hard to create. So for instance, now we're going to be using a plugin. So let me say an icon. So I'm going to go to material design symbols, material symbols. Then I can say, okay, in the search, I can say checkbox. Oh, sorry. So we have checkboxes here. I see we have checkboxes here. So you have one that is ticked and one that is not ticked. So you can bring out the ticked one. You can bring it out. Let me paste this inside. So I brought on the one that is not ticked. Then I brought out the ticked one. Brought out the ticked one also. So I can now say, okay, this ticked one, I want it in a field version. So you come to your field, you turn it on. I want it in a field version. So you take it away. So not to stress yourself about start to create checkbox on your own. Then what you do now is from these two items they have here now, from these two items, and just select both of them now. Select both of them. In this your component where you want to add it to container. Instead of clicking on making them a component, so you can now click on the drop down arrow there. You click on create component sets. Click on create component sets and make this you see checkbox. Why I clicked on create component is because we are going to be these are two different. So and from here we don't want to distort this first checkbox. So sorry that's why we did this. Not as if we could not create and add variants. So we could do it. So from still this component set I've created, I could still add variants. I can still add variants. You can see once I click on this, I can still add variants. So it's basically the same thing. It's just because of the application is different. So you can name this checkbox and then you have your checkbox here. So you have your unticked checkbox and you have your ticked checkbox. So when you tick, so I think everyone knows what the checkbox is. So let's move on. Let's move on real quick. So display block. So display block. Now we're creating display block. Can anyone tell me what a display text is? OGOGMA. I think I got that right. Please, can you tell us what a display block is? Display text rather. A display text. Okay. Caleb, anyone? What's a display text? What's a display text? No one. Okay. A display text is the text you have in your hero section displaying on your hero section. The text you have displaying on your hero section. So where's the replication design we did here? Let me show you. So this that you have here now, this text we are the digital revolution. This is a display text. It's the biggest text in your typography skill. The biggest text in your interface is the display text. It is used to display. It's a display text, so it's mostly used. Not even. It's only used in the hero section. Your display text is mostly used in the hero section. So that's what we call display text. So let's create our display block. So while we are creating our display block now is you might have more than one hero section you want to create. Like maybe you want to create another hero section for your about us page, another page on your website. Then you can have a display text block. So let's put our display text block in an auto layout and we call this display text block. Let's take out the padding by the side. Since it's a text, not an element. So you set this to field container. You set the text itself, not the auto layout. Set the text itself to field container. you make it a component. So you can come and reuse it anytime you like. You can just come here and come in the assets panel, and then you have your display text and bring it out anytime, and then you use it. See, since it has a few property there, the asset you bring out, the component you bring out now, it also have a few properties. So let's just say blah 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 blah. You can see it has a few property. You can see it has a few property. Then you can now, on your own wish, you can now expand it. You can now expand it. You can see it has a few properties. Shielding display sub, you can see. You can see. So that's our display text. So let's have a display text block here. This is our display text block here. So what's the next atom on our list? We have heading block. We have heading block. We have heading block. So you see some websites whereby in each sections of the website, maybe in about us, you have some text. You have some text there in each. You have a text that tells you, okay, you're in the about us section, or in the services section. You have a text like this above the section. Think so. That's what we call the heading text. So you just, oh sorry, let's see, you create your heading text block. So let's say heading text. So it's usually between 32 and 40, but let's make ours 32. Let's make ours 32. So you create an auto layout, take out the padding, and you name this heading text block. Then you make it a component. You can see you have your component here. You can change it. Oh, I misplaced it. So each other misplaced it to each other. So the one you have on top of the sections is called title text, not heading text. It's called the title text. Sorry about that. It's called the title text. The one heading a section that tells you which section you are is called the title text. It's the title of the section. It's called the title text. So this heading text is for when you have text your title of your paragraph. So you are heading. It's called an heading text. Just to edit the title of your paragraph, it's called an heading text. Then you have let's create the title block. Title text. So you can call this 28. So based on your design system, so I'm just using the favorite title text to make it title text. You create your component. So these are atoms now. These are atoms. You have these atoms now. These are atoms. Your design. So I'm just going to create one list, and then I'm going to leave the rest for now. So title block, paragraph block. So let's create paragraph block. Let's create a paragraph block. Let's create a paragraph block. So see, then just use the lorem ipsum plugin. Lorem, okay, it's not here. Sorry. Lorem ipsum. Okay, you run it. You create your text block again. Create your text block this time. So your paragraph block rather, your paragraph. So most of our paragraph text is in 16. The range between 16 and 18. The range between 16 and 18. So let's generate words. Let's generate about 40 words. We've created this. So most of your paragraph text will be in medium or regular. Be medium or regular. Medium or regular. Based on the hierarchy of what you are doing, be medium or regular. Let's set ours to regular. So auto height, and then let's expand it a bit. Let's put it an auto layout also. So you have your paragraph block. You make it a component also, and you can find everything. See, as I'm making them a component. While I'm making them a component, they are showing up in the asset panel. They're showing up here in the asset panel. So let's. So what's the last one? I think is that one. Then we have label block. So what do we call a label? A label is, you see on your input field now. You see those text you have on your input field that tells you not inside your input field like this, not this, like on your input field above them, those text you have that says email or phone number or school name, or those text you have above them, those are what we call label text. Those are what we call label text, or those text you have accompanying icons. Those are what we call label text, or accompanying icons. Those are what we call label text. They used to label stuff. That we call label text. You see, in your phone now, maybe on Twitter, you see those text you have below that tells you home, search, below the icons. So those are label text. Those are label text. They are used to give more context as to what an element is. So those are label text. So let's create a label text. Label text. Let's put it in another layout also. Take out the padding. Call it label text block. So most time your label text block will be in a range within 16 and 18. So let's make us 18 now. Make us 18. And then the weight is between medium and semi-bold. So not regular, it's between medium and semi-bold. So let's make us medium, or let's make it semi-bold. Okay. Let's too dark. Let's make it medium. So let's make it medium, then make it a component. So you've created a component for this now. Created a component. Let's see if we can take two more times number outside. Let's take two more. Let's take just two more. Let's take item listing. Let's take item listing. Let's take item listing. Let's take item listing. So how do you list item? When you click on C, make your so you create your then you started listing your items. So let's see, we name this list item. Let's make this 16 instead of this 16. So you've created your list item now. Put it in another layout. You see how what this list item is going to work out for. Create this your list item now. So you create your list item. So list item, let's call it lists. Let's call it your list item. Call this your list item. We make it a component. Then let's see which other one can we let's create link block. Let's create link block. Link block. Let's create link block and supporting text. Link block and supporting text. So link block is also in the text. So most times your link block text are within 16 and 18. You create a link block, you make it an layout. You make it link block also. So most times some of your link block we have padding around them like 4, and some of your link block will not have padding. So let's make ours have padding of 4 on all sides, and then so your link now, ideal link, they do have a stroke. So on your auto layout, you make a stroke on your auto layout. Then you set it to your bottom stroke. You change the stroke position to bottom. Into bottom. So this looking, so then you can change the color based on the project you're working on, and then make it a component. There you have a component. So that is it now. What's the other one I said we should create? Supporting text. Input supporting text. Input supporting text. Input supporting text. Now not really out. So your input supporting texts are like caption text, and most times let me just say supporting text. So they are supporting text, and most times they are like caption text, and most times they are in a range of 12 to 14 most times, but most times you are going to be seeing them in a range of 12, and their weight is mostly regular. They are mostly irregular. They are mostly regular. So you create a component. They are mostly regular. You create a component. So we have we have this now. We have the supporting text. So what's the supporting text? Let me quickly do a brief rundown of that. So the supporting text, have you been in a situation whereby you're filling your form, and then previously you didn't have under your input field, you didn't have any text underneath it, but okay, you suddenly imputed the wrong um password. For example, you're putting in your password, mistakenly imputed the wrong password, and that's red, so it's password not correct. Or you imputed the wrong password and said, okay, password must create, or you're creating a password and it now says password must contain special characters and numbers. Has anyone seen those kind of text below? They might be in red or something like gray or that color. Has someone ever seen that, guys? Guys? Okay. So that's what we call supporting text. That's what we call a supporting text. So right now, we've created these atoms now. We've created these atoms. Now from these atoms now, okay, let me create one more, which is the image block, because we're going to be using an image block. Sorry, image container rather. So I told you that in design now, your image should be in frames most of the time. Your image should be in frames. So let's create this frame like this and just name it image container. We can shape it anyhow we like going on. So this is your image container. So we have this our atoms here now. We have these atoms here now. So from these atoms now, we want to start creating molecules from these atoms. We want to start creating molecules from these atoms. So let's create another section. We name molecules. That we will name molecules. That we will name molecules. And stating out your icons is also part of atoms. Your icons also. Your icons are also part of atoms. Your icons are also part of atoms, because I didn't. Your icons. Let me put it in here. Your icons are also part of atoms. Your icons are also part of atoms. Your icon are also part of what? They're also part of icons. So let me just add a few icons here, like a drop down icon. Let me add a drop down. Drop down. Let me use material symbols. There are many icon packs you can find on the Figma community, so I just love using material symbols most of the time. It's an icon pack by Google, so I just love using it most of the time. So let's see. an arrow down, arrow down. So you can just make it a component since it has a name on it. So you just make it a component. It does keyboard arrow down. It has a name on it already, so you can just make it a component. So your icons are also part of your atoms. So from this atoms now, let's start creating molecules. This is the next stage, molecules. So let's make this the same color as that. Let's make it the same color. Make it the same color. Okay. Let's start creating molecules now. So the first molecule now we're going to create is your drop down link. Has anyone seen has anyone been on a website and they click on the drop down like in the header now you see an arrow and you click on it and you see something just roll down like this. You see text come up. Okay, let me just show you an example of what a drop down is. Okay, that will require me to share my Chrome window. So let me say I'm on. Okay, let me change. Let me share my. Let me share my Chrome screen. So do okay. This one does not have arrow. Let's look for another one. Let me see. Getting this as a drop down arrow. Okay, now. So this is what we are saying now. So can everyone see my screen? Please confirm if you can see my screen, please. Confirm if you can see my screen, please, guys.
Yes, you can see your screen.
Guys, confirm if you can see my screen. Guys, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Guys, you guys should talk now. This your silence is taking up more time. So you can see now this is a drop down now. Once I over on this, you can see a list is being dropped down. So once I over on this now, you can see a list is being dropped down. Just as the same here now. Once I over on it, list is being dropped down. So this
Recording is on.
arrow icon like this now. I'm going to bring it in like this now. So what's our label text? Our label text is what? It's a medium, right? So let's see, we change this to drop down. Change this to drop down. So this is our label text, this is our arrow. So we put both of them in another layout like this. Then another layout like this. You set the spacing between them. Set the spacing between them to what? Set it to auto. So you can set the spacing between them. You can give them a specific spacing, and you can set the spacing between them to auto based on what you are using the drop down for. So let's say you are using this drop down in a nav bar now. For example, in a nav bar, the spacing between them will be 4, either 4 or 8. That's what the spacing will be. But if you are using it for like an FAQ section, if you are using it for an FAQ section, the spacing between them now will be what? The spacing between them will be in auto, so you can evenly space it out where you have the text on one side and you have the arrow on one side. That is, you have the text on the left and you have the arrow on the right. So it's based on what you are using it for. So let's say we are using ours for our navbar now. Let's say we want to use it for our navbar. Let's say this hug. Let's hug it down. So the spacing between ours now is 8. So we can just call this drop down. Drop down. So then because of we want to use it for our header now. We want to use it in our header as a drop down link in our header. We set the spacing in them to 4, just like how we've done for our link block now, because this is our link block now. It's going to be using our header. So most times you can have a stroke around it and you might leave the stroke out. I just put a stroke here so you guys can get a link. You can have this. So in navbar, most times we're not going to be using stroke in navbar. So most times I'm not going to be using stroke. So we have this. We have this now. This is what we call molecule. This is a molecule now. So it consists of two atoms. You know there are two atoms in this now. So this is a molecule. You know there are two atoms in what we've done now. There are two atoms in this now. Right, so what are the atoms that are in this, guys? What are the atoms, guys? Let's talk. What are the atoms in the two? What are the atoms, guys? Are you guys following at all? Um, Oyetunde, Olawale. Okay, what are the two atoms inside this our drop down molecule now? What are the two atoms in them? I want to know if you guys are following the class. Hmm. The text. What's the name of the text? You guys can unmute and talk. Don't mute us. You can unmute and talk. You can unmute and talk. There's something we called it the text. While we're bringing it out of our asset panel, there's something we called it. What's the
The
name?
label text.
Okay, label text, and then what? Guys, you guys are not. And then icon. Okay, Caleb, thank you for that. Thank you so much. Okay. So as we've created the molecule now, you see they consist of two atoms now. So let's create the drop down list. So when you over on this drop down, the list is brings down. So let's create it. So let's bring in our what's the name? Our list item now. We have our list item here now. We have our list item now. So let's see list item. So we want to create multiple of this list item. Let's create multiple of them. Multiple of them. Let's create multiple of them. Let's create multiple of them. Okay, this is enough. Let's see. These are the list items we have now. You can set the padding based on. You can set the padding based on the size of the list you want. You can set the padding based on the size of list you want. That's how you can set the padding of this. So the padding is used to specify the size. So you just so you put all of them in an auto layout. Oh, but first, before we put it in an auto layout, let's change the value of them. So let's say we give the padding. Let's give it an horizontal padding of 16, an horizontal padding of 16, and a vertical padding of 8. Vertical padding of 8. The spacing between them is 0. So let's put it in an auto layout now. Put it in an auto layout. All of them now. You know, I was selecting all of them previously. All of them. Select all of them now. And then you put them in an auto layout. I will name this auto layout drop down item. Drop down item. So you've created this now. So let's go ahead and then make it a component. So let's set this to full container first. Let's select all the list item in this drop down item now. Let's select it. Let's select everything by just drag and to select it. Yeah? Select all of them and then let's The horizontal resizing, let's set it to few container. Set a few container. So when we stretch this, we want it to be stretched. We want it to stretch along with it. So stretch this. But let's set this to here. And you see now, when I'm stretching this now, you see this list item there in the middle, they're not aligning to the left. So it's because of the auto layout, the text are in, they are aligned to the center, as you can see here. So you align them to the, so looking out for your alignment is very key in design. Looking out for your alignment is very key in design, so you don't disrupt your work. So let's set this to regular. Let's set the text in them to regular. Let's set it to regular. You can see. Let's make them regular. Oh, let's make them medium rather. Let's make them medium rather. And this text now is different. This text is different, and nobody told me. The text we are using now is Satoshi instead of Poppins. Poppins. I don't know how that's pins. The text is supposed to be in Poppins. It's supposed to be in Poppins text this episode. Okay, this is in Poppins. Let's see other ones we've created. Okay, they are in Poppins. This is in Satoshi also. Poppins. Oh, you guys didn't tell me this is Satoshi. So it's Poppins. So where did I see Satoshi? Okay, okay. So it's Poppins. Yeah. You guys are not following at all. This shows that you guys are not following me. Okay. 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 So let's go ahead. So this drop down item, you might want to give it a few color of this your drop down because it's a drop down link right now. It's a drop down link. You might not give it a few property because it's a drop down link. We're going to use it in the nav bar. So you might not give it a few yet. So but our drop down item, we can give it a few because it's going to have a shadow. So we give it a few of white, give it a white few. You give it if you like, then give it a corner radius. If you like, you don't give it a corner radius, but let's give it a corner radius to make it more friendly. Corner radius of let's say 8 is good. Yeah, it is good. So this is your drop down item now, and if you like, you can make lines in between them to create like to show that there are different things. Sorry, how is this? Can create lines between them. I need to select this. So you can do what? You can give them a stroke. All of the list item auto layouts can give them a stroke to show that there's spacing between them. So you can give them a stroke. You give them a stroke like this, and then you can take out the stroke if you don't want to use the stroke. You see the stroke is okay old fashioned. Take out the stroke, and if you want to like properly space them, you can just the spacing between them is set to 0. You can just give it a little more spacing, let us say 8. Then we have this. We have this. So because of the top padding we have now, that's why it was looking spaced, even though it was not spaced. So because of the padding we have there now, that's why it was looking spaced, even though it was not spaced. So you can also use padding. We'll show you that trick as we are moving along. So you can also use padding to create space between objects. So you make it a component. So sorry about that. Okay, let's continue, guys. So you've created your drop down item. So now let's create our navigation bar. Let's create our navigation bar. And this drop down item now is also a molecule. Let's create our navigation bar. So from our asset panel, let's bring in our link block. Or you call it your text link. You can call it your text link or your link block. Any one of the two you like. You can call it your text link or link block. So let's take out the stroke because we are going to be using it in our nav bar for here. We're going to take out the stroke. So you duplicate it into, let's say, we want to have four navigation on our navbar in our navbar. So we have one, duplicate it into four places. So two, three, four. So you put all of them in an auto layout. You select all of them, put them in an auto layout, and you name the auto layout to what? You rename it to navbar. The text in it, we change it so let's say regular. That was looking very good. Into regular. Or you leave it in medium. Let's put it in medium rather. Put it in medium. When you change the view properties, because it's a full black, and most times in design, it's not good to use absolute black because this is lesson. Most design, most times, you're not going to use absolute black. That's 0, 0, 0, 6 places. So you're going to be using very dark shades of gray, not absolute black. Very dark shade of grays, but not absolute black. Most times in design. So let's go ahead. Let's set the spacing between them to around like 24. Of the spacing around there. So in your navbar, because of our link block have padding in them now, we don't have to start adding padding to our navbar again. We don't need to start adding padding to our navbar. So because of they have, so you set the spacing between them. So we just create a component out of this. We've created a component. So I didn't create a logo in your atom. So your logo also is part of your atoms. Let's quickly do that. We don't have a logo, but let me use a text to create a logo. Let me say I have one monotone. Monotone, right? Monotone. Monotone. Let me say the name of our company now is Caleb and Caleb and Caleb and Maruf. The name of our company now is Caleb and Maruf. So let's give it a blue color. Let's give it our blue color. Give it our blue, sorry, remember that. Our blue color. So name of our company is Caleb and Maruf. So I'm just going to put it in a frame by taking Ctrl Alt G. It's in a frame, not an auto layout. So you got this logo and put it, make it a component. Let's created our logo here. So let's go back to our link, our nav link. So we created our nav link here now. So that is that. We've created our nav link. So this is also a molecule. It consists of how many elements, atoms here? We have one, two, three, four, five. But they are the same atoms. They're the same atoms, but it consists of five atoms. But they are the same. They have the same features. But we used more than one atom now to create, even though it was not different, but it was more than one. So we combine them to create a molecule, which is the navbar. So let's go ahead and create our form group now. Let's go ahead and create our form group. So when we say your form group, our form group is when we have things like, how will I put it? When you have things like your input field now, or let me say your phone login, you want to log into your Facebook or your Instagram or your social media, any of your social media, and then the text you have on top of that input field. So the text that you have on top of that input field and the input field all together, that's what we call the form group. Those two things together, that's what we call what? That's what we call the form group. Those two things together, that's what we call what? That's what we call the form group. Those two things together, that's what we call what? That's what we call the form group. That's what we call the form group. You understand? That's what we call the form group. So let us create it with two assets now, two atom rather. So we have our label text on top, which will be on top, and let's bring in our input field. We have our input field here. have our input field here. So let's select both of them and put them in an auto layout. Okay, let's call this our form group. So this is our form group now. This is our form group. This is our form group. So let's space. So most times when you are creating form group, the spacing between the label text and the input field is not very large. So users can be able to easily associate the label text with the input field. So they can be able to easily associate the label text with the input field. That's why we give it a small spacing between them. So you can have the spacing to be 8 most times, 8, and if you like, maybe with you can just slightly increase it above like 12. So but stay within a range 8 and 12. So we've done this. So make it a component now, and this you have your form group now. You have your form group. So this is our form group right now. So we've created this. We did it out of 2 molecules. So now let's go ahead and create. Let's create a card. A card is also a molecule. So let's create a card. So for instance, in our card now, we're going to have an image, a title block, a paragraph block, and a button in our card now. We're going to be having an image, a title block, a paragraph block, and then a button in our card now. So let's go ahead and do this with auto layout. So you see what I've been doing so far is with auto layout, and you see how they look. What I've been doing so far now is with auto layouts, except for the what's the name, the logo and the image container. So let's bring out our atoms. Atoms we are going to use now for this. So I said we're going to use our image container. So we can change the size, and let's say we want something of height 200. I want the width to be something around 240. Or let's say the height to be 140. Let's say the height to something like this. Okay, let's say the height to something like this. Height to something like this, and then our title. Okay, yes, it's our title text. Yeah, for title block. We have it here. Then our paragraph block. We have it here. Right. Everything. So let's make this a bit more like, let us say 320. Let's make it 320. Let's make it longer. Make this 300. Make it 300 rather. With 300. This isn't what this is 16. So let's make it that, and then let's go ahead and then bring out our button. So let's use a field button instead. Let's use a field button. Let's use a field button instead. So let me call the name of our card. Let me call it. Okay, let me just give it the name of a place. Santorini, Greece. Santorini, Greece. But we're still going to be using this lorem ipsum text. We're still going to be using this. We can just take out some part of it. But our card won't be too long. We can just take out some part of it. Oh, let us return those parts back. Let's return it. So now we want to create our card now. So first of all, you put both of this stuff now. Hey man, calm down. So you put both of them now. You put both of them, the title block and the paragraph block. Put them in auto layout first. We call this title paragraph. This title and paragraph. Let's make the spacing between them 24. Let's have some adequate spacing between them. Then you can now add this and this with the image. You can put them in an auto layout. They call it image added plus content. So that let's give it a spacing of, let's say, 32. So we're going to enter much. So then you add it with our button finally. Put it in an auto layout. Then you call this our card. Call this our card. Then let's give it a few. Let's give our card a few now. Let's give it a few, a white few. But before that, let's put an image in this and splash. Splash. So let's say Santorini. Does anyone know Santorini in Greece? Anyone? Does anyone know Santorini in Greece? Maruf,
I've seen pictures of it.
you've seen pictures of it. You've not been there. Eh?
Yes, I've not been there, but I've seen pictures of it, and I would like to visit there.
Okay, don't worry. Design will take you there. Don't worry. Just believe.
Oh, I'd like to visit there too.
Design will take you there. Don't worry. Design will take you there. Let me just. I think I have an image of it on my PC. I think I have an image of it on my PC. Let me see. Santorini. Sure, let's see. I think so, but I'm not sure. Santorini. Santorini. Okay, I don't have it anymore. Let me just get one from Pinterest and then yes, Pinterest. Santorini, Greece. Okay, Santorini. Okay, let me use this Santorini waterfalls. The popular attractions in Santorini, the Santorini waterfalls. So, okay. Come up numbers. Okay, so I think this one is very cute. Yeah, this looks very cute. Very cute. So okay, so that been done. Let's come back and then let's add that. So we have Santorini here. So I brought Santorini all the way from Greece right to you guys. So you guys will not applaud me. I brought Santorini all the way from Greece for you guys. For Santorini. So let's align this to the center. Let's align to the center. You can just increase this to 320 and then let's increase the height a bit to make it more. Yeah, that's okay. So we can have now what we want to do now is we want to set this now. We're going to set the paragraph to field container. So we want to make this card responsive. So you set the paragraph itself, the text itself to field container. So now we're going to set the auto layout to field container also. We set the auto layout to field container. We're going to set this to field container also. The text of the title to field container. Then we're going to set the text itself. You can see it's resizing, but we'll do that. That is not the problem. Set this to field container also. Then if we expand this like this, sorry. Now the auto layout that the title and the paragraph text is the auto layout that both of them is that we have both of them set down to also to field container. You can see now it's filling up that auto layout is now filling up the space we have here. So you can see now it's now leveled. So let's set the spacing here also to 32. Let's set it to 32. Let's just have an equal spacing here. You can bring it closer and say it's 24. Oh, sorry. Let's just do it at 32 rather. We've aligned this one to the center. Or let's align to the left rather. The left is okay. Align to the left and the button also. Let's give the button a field container. Let's just do the button a field container. You can see what we have here. So let's see. Let me give you a reason to visit Santorini. You can just change the text of this. Visit now. So when you click on this one, you just appear there. You guys should not worry. Just appear there. everyone that wishes to go, once you click on this, I've given you free ticket to Santorini. Oh. Let's say I did not give you a free ticket to Santorini. Okay, you can make the horizontal padding, let's say 16 now. Let's make it 20. Then let's make it let's make this 16. Let's make this 16. Emmanuel, you say I have to turn to Merlin. Don't worry. You won't believe in the power of design, even if I explain to you guys. So you see now we have a card. So we're going to change the feel of this card to a light gray. A light gray. Yeah, I think we talked about visual hierarchy. So we're setting a visual hierarchy where the title is more present than the body text, the paragraph text, and then you have the button here also. So we can just give it a small corner radius, make it just beautiful a bit. A small corner radius, and then everything is responsive. So this auto layout where we have the paragraph and the image also, we can now set down also to view container. So you can see. So once I now start dragging, once I start dragging like this, you see the text is responsive. The text is responsive. Once I start dragging, so it's going to fill up the paragraph space. Why the title block is not filling up is because the text is not more than that. So, but if I click on it, you see that the auto layout for it is filling it up. You can see the auto layout is, and the text also is filling it up, but because it does not have more than these two words in it, so that's why. So let's bring it back to our format. Okay. So we have this now. So you see, while I was expanding this, the image was not expanding because I didn't want to distort. I did not want to distort the image. You don't want to distort the image. That is why we left the image at okay. We are not setting it to fill container. Just be as you are. We are not setting it to fill container. We don't want it to distort. But if you want to distort the image, want the image to also start filling up the space, you can now set the image itself to fill container. Then let's see this auto layout isn't what because I'm fill container also. So let's now start though. You can see the image is distorting. You can see the image is distorting. You can see it's distorting with the card. You can see this is a simple card. Distorting with the card, and this is with auto layout. So if your project leader just come and say, OGMA, this card is not, it's not, I don't like it, it's too big. Oh, yeah, make it short. So instead of you to now start going, oh, yeah, let me go and start reducing this, I start aligning. You can just say, okay, sir, no problem. Just bring it like this. I just shorten it like this and say, okay, sir, I've done it. Instead of, so you sabi, yes, sir, I'm an expert. You see, that's it. You don't have to start stressing your stuff and start. So that's it. So that's it. And this card now is a molecule also. Our time is almost up. Oh, guys, this card is a molecule also. We're going to stop here for molecule. We're going to stop here for molecules. I think. So you guys should try and click on the visit now to appear to Santorini. I should not say I not give you updates. So let's move to organisms. Let's move to organisms. We'll be wrapping up now. Let's move to organisms. So I can do like about, it's not the one that we have left is normal, so we can just do a 20 minutes video just to cover up with templates and then pages. So let's do. So we've created molecules in which we used atoms to create. So with organism now, we want to use our molecules and atoms to create organism now. We want to use our molecule and atom to create organisms now. So let's create a contact form. Let's create a contact form first. Let's create a contact form. So using what? We are going to create a contact form using our form group and then button. So our form group now is a molecule. Our button is an atom. And we are going to use our title block also, which is an atom. So you see we've incorporated molecules, atom. So atom, molecule, and atom. So then from our asset panel now, let's bring our title. Bring our title. Form group. Let's bring our form group. Many form group do we have here? Let's bring our form group. Where's our form group? Did we make our form group? I'm not really okay to be here. Sorry. Form group. And then let's bring this. So let's duplicate this. Let's duplicate it into 3 places. Let's duplicate it into 3 places. Let's say we want to have 3 input field on our contact form. We want to have 3 input field, 3 responses. So let's say we want to have here, we want to have name, and here we want to have, let's say, I want to have your phone number, and lastly, we just want to have your address. And then let's just say this is what we want to have. So we can add all this now into an auto layout. These are our forms. You can call it input field pro. Input field pro. So you can set the spacing. So the spacing between these form groups now, or let's say form groups pro, not input field pro. Form group pro, form group pro. So the spacing between these form groups now, you can make it the spaces between them, this space between them now, you can make it as twice as the spacing between the input field and the label text. So we made the spacing between our input field and label text 8. So you can make it as twice as this or as thrice. I make it twice or thrice. So since it was 8, let's make it thrice. Let's make it 32, sorry. 32. So you can see it's equally spaced now. You can from here now you can tell this input field is for name. For here you can tell it's from phone number. From here you can tell it's from address. But if you add something like this, let's say we add something like no spacing at all. So can you tell which is which from here now? Can you tell which is which? You can't tell which is which from here now. So having that adequate spacing between them allows you to tell which is for. So we've done this. So you select your form group and your title text, then you put them in an auto layout also. You call it Pro Max. It's called a Pro Max. And the spacing between them, let's say you make the spacing between them 40, sort of 40. And you can call it registration form. Registration form. So we have this, and then finally, sorry about that. Let's go back and then do something else. So instead of putting the title and the font group pro together, let's put the button and the font group pro together first, so you can make their own spacing more. Let's select both of them, put them in another layout. Let's say Pro Max. So let's set the spacing between them to something around 40. And then you can give this a field. So it's not necessary you do field most times, but for things like this contacts form, you are going to use field most of the time. So let's just say registration. registration form. So let's make this, instead of semi-bold, let's make it medium. Let's make it medium. We don't want to make it very bold. Just as this, also let's make this semi-bold. Don't want to make it very, very, very bold. We don't make it very bold. It's medium. Let's make that one semi-bold. That one semi-bold. So since we have this, we can just, sorry, this is acting up. So you put all of them now in an auto layout, and then you name it your contact form. You have 7 minutes left. So you see, we have your contact form. So let's give it a padding, horizontal padding of 24, a vertical padding of 24 also. And then let's start setting the horizontal resizing. So for this Pro Max now, let's set it to few. Pro Max includes the form group, and then let's set our button also to few. Okay, we set that to few. Let's set our form group Pro to few. Then let's set, by those, you can just click on enter to select all the items inside form group Pro. So when I click on enter, then they are selected. Then set down to few also. Then we don't have our what is the name? Our place input field, so we can just come here in our form group. So you don't have to start changing those things one by one. So in our form group here, you can just come here now in our molecule section and just click on our input field and then change it to field container. Change it to field container, and then you can stretch it back out. Back out is filling. So because automatically now it will change. Now here where we have it here, it change automatically. Since we change it the main component, it will change here also. As you can see now it has let's look at the input field. You can see now it has changed to field automatically. So that's the power of components. That's the power of components. So the spacing between this and this, let's make the spacing 48. Let's make it small, very spaced 48, and then let's give it a feel of white, and then let's start expanding. Let's start expanding to our taste. Let's start expanding to our taste. So let's say this is the size we want. And we can have this. Let's give it a padding of, let's say, 16. Have this. So you have your registration form here now. You have your contacts form. So we created this from molecules and atoms. So we created this from molecules and atoms now. Created this from molecules and atoms. So we'll be stopping there for today. Now in the follow-up video. We'll continue where we stopped. So that's just going to be 20 minutes. We've covered most of it. So just remaining templates and pages, and trust me, that's not going to take most of your time. So guys, if you have any question, please throw your questions. Let me look at, okay. Caleb, you said someone can click and appear in Sambiza Forest. If that's where you wish to go to, it's working with your mind. I've added that feature. It's working with your mind. Instead of Santorini, Ojama, don't fear. You appear in Santorini, don't fear. And next claim plan, as Mr. Maruf didn't create an undo button. Want to undo reality. Emmanuel John, you can't undo reality. Even to me as a designer, it happens to me most times when I done something in reality, like with outside of my work, when I done something, I don't like Control Z. I'm like, oh God, I forgot the name of my sister. Like, I don't like Control Z. Let's go back. But that's reality. You can't Control Z. It's done. It's done. You can't Control Z. So that's it. So guys, what are your questions? Let me hear your questions, guys.
Okay, thank you, sir, for the class. I have one question, and the question is: in a case of where you have plenty of icons, can you just make them a component at the same time, or you have to make it a component one after the other?
Yeah, you make them a component one after the other, so you can be able to change them while you are using them for maybe in your molecules. You can be able to change them while you are using them in your molecules. So let me quickly show you something.
Thank you, sir.
Let me quickly show you something. Let me quickly show you something. Let's say, for example, we brought in material symbols. Material symbols. Let's say, for example, we button a cancel button. Let's say cancel X and X button. So we button X button in cancel button. And let's have this outside and then sorry, bring this aside. So you guys should not worry about me taking it outside. It's not a ritual. It's just um once you bring it from your plugin, it's not going to be pasted directly into your atoms. So it's still in this. So you have to take it outside here, drop it, and then bring it back for it to be inside the section. That's what I'm doing. So we've made this a component, right? So this is why you have to make them a component individually. So we have this drop down here. So let's bring it out from our asset panel. Let's bring it out from our asset panel. So we have it here like this. So in this our drop down now, let's say for example, we don't want to use this arrow down now. We don't want to use this arrow down again. We want to use the X icon. So you can just come here under our atoms. Come to atoms under our atoms. So you click on this icon itself, not on the whole auto layout. You click on the icon itself, and then you come to here. There you can see. Let me show you. You can see where you have this properties panel here. Here, where you have this keyboard arrow, you click on it. That is swap instance. That is you are swapping the elements now. So we want to swap it with close. So you see, we easily swap that. You easily swap that, and if we want to change it back, we can easily change. Okay, let's say we want to make it a checkbox. You easily made it a checkbox. So that's why it's. So let's say you want to make it to arrow down back. You can see that's why it's good to do that. So that's that. So any other person? OGOGM, I think you understand that, right?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Uh, any other person? You guys
Yes, sir.
ask question. Okay, yeah, let's go.
Okay, my question is just in the use case of the buttons. Okay,
Okay.
sometimes I don't know if I used to mix them up, but I guess I used to apply it right. But I just want to be sure. When do we use apart from the few buttons, which is the primary button, and then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we may want to use the outline button. I
Okay.
don't know. Yeah, which one? Where do we
Okay.
use?
Using each of them, using any of them depends on your design style most times, and sometimes you might want to use in a place where you are using just one color for your whole design. You are not using any other color. You are using just one color. You are using a monochromatic. You are going monochromatic. That you are using just one color. Monochromatic. You are going monochromatic. So you can use. So you do not now. You don't have any other color to use as your secondary button now. You don't have any other color. So this is where
Yeah,
outline button can come out and help you now, and you can use this
yeah,
outline button to describe secondary button, and then the ghost button you can use it to outline. You can use it to show that okay, this is a tertiary button. You can see where it comes out now.
yeah.
So it depends on the design style you're going with. So that's that. Any other person?
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Another person. Any other person? You guys want me to take you to Santorini? Quick, quick. Let's go. Any other person? Any question? Our time is up, but anyone who has a question? Nobody. Should we call it a day then? If no one has a question. Maruf. Okay, no problem. Just click the button. Now the people who are skitmaker will say click the link in my bio. You also click the button on the file. You see yourself in Santorini. No problem. Okay, you
Yeah,
guys should have one.
let's do undo button first before we click.
I should do undo button.
Yes.
Okay, no problem. I'll do undo button for you guys. There's no problem. So guys, have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful day, and I believe most of you on your project now, most of you are having good time on your project. You're enjoying it. So um, have a good day, guys. Enjoy the remainder of your democracy day. Enjoy the remainder, and I hope you enjoy the class also.